Well, let's talk China, and they got some problems. You might think we are the only ones with problems, but not so much. The Chinese Communist Party has always pushed extreme competition, intense work, only way to succeed. But its new generation, the younger generation, has rejected that path and, quote, letting it rot. The trend shows many, quote, quitting their jobs and turning to meditation and other forms of spirituality. Others are flooding fortune teller stands, Buddhist temples in mountainous areas, or exploring Chinese and Western philosophies. Some are throwing quitting parties and banners celebrating their newfound freedom. Our next guest says Chinese leaders have only themselves to blame. Their next generation, not so into China. The author of Bully of Asia, author Steve Mosher, joins us now. Steve, I was stunned by this. First, I was keeping an eye on an economy that was suffering deflation, lack of growth, and an unemployment amongst its youth at 21%. But the ones that are working or they can get a job are choosing not to.
Yeah, well, the unemployment rate is actually probably twice that, Brian. I mean, it sounds incredible that 46 or 50% of the young people in China would be unemployed. But look, the Chinese Communist Party always lies with numbers. The real numbers that come out of Beijing tell me that about half the young people in China are unemployed. No prospects, no future. The economy is in decline. The housing market is collapsing. So there are economic factors here going on. But let's go back a few years to the one-child policy, Brian, because these young people in China are the products of almost 40 years of a one-child policy. They have no brothers and sisters. They have no aunts and uncles, no cousins. They were raised by two parents who doted on them, four grandparents who doted on them. We call them little emperors for a reason, because most of them are boys. Most of them are young men. There are 30 million more young men than women in China. These young men don't have any prospects for marriage, don't have any prospects for having a family. Naturally, they're depressed. Then add to that the COVID lockdowns. My goodness, we had COVID lockdowns here. China's COVID lockdowns lasted far longer and were far harsher than ours. 2 years, social isolation. And there are a lot of kids who, depressed in the United States, fell behind in their education. It was a lot worse in China. A lot of these young men and young women are never going to come out of that period of social isolation in one piece again. So naturally, they're checking out. They're not just laying flat, which is what they talked about a few years ago. Laying flat, not doing much, just enough to get by. Letting it rot means we'll let everything go to Hades. We don't care anymore. We're not going to participate in society. So they're gone. And I don't know how China is going to get back those millions of young people who basically decided they don't want life as the Chinese Communist Party demands it of them.
Steve, pretty amazing, because we always hear negative things about our own society, our own next generation. It seems like China's got it much worse. They just don't talk about it. Is there a degree of panic inside that government, or are they truly oblivious?
Well, they're not oblivious, but they think they can manage everything. They can control everything. This is, after all, a digital dictatorship. And they watch. One of the things that upsets young people in China is they're monitored everywhere. The facial recognition technology is very advanced. The video cameras are everywhere. People are watched. They have to carry their phones everywhere so they can go through checkpoints. That's dispiriting. That's demoralizing. And at any time, remember, China could lock down again. They did just recently, because of this new mysterious flu in China, lock down entire cities again. What does that do to your morale? Many young people have given up on life, and I don't see them coming back anytime soon.
Steve, the other thing is this president made himself president for life, and he wants to crack down on the free market things that gave people a sense of hope and entrepreneurship. So that all is working against it. I worry that they're going to panic and start some type of military adventure to try to galvanize their society and give them a focus. But we'll keep an eye on it. Steve, you're our go-to guy on this. Thanks so much.